guys, there's nothing vaguely appropriate about this. And you can see the ongoing back and forth that her and I had. And I'd be more than happy to read this aloud for you guys, but quite frankly, what's up guys? Welcome back. This is Jason, Actualization, and I'm gonna be sharing with you guys today a little bit of my passion for disseminating the idea that industrial seed oils, we're talking the Hateful Eight guys, corn, canola, cottonseed, soybean, sunflower, safflower, rice bran, grapeseed, that these refined, bleached, and deodorized oils that are manufactured in factories that resemble oil refineries are ultimately at the root cause of the myriad, I would say at least 80%, the chronic diseases that plague mankind. One of which I personally had to contend with, and that's eosinophilic esophagitis, a disease that literally brought me to my knees countless hundreds of times throughout my late teens and early 20s, when I would endure hour-long episodes of food completely getting stuck in my throat. Like literally being unable to speak and barely able to breathe. And God, I just think about the subtle but significant, hindsight's 2020, ways that this impacted me, and get emotional just thinking about it sometimes. Just like this humdrum, like low-level anxiety that would just be ongoing, that, to be honest with you, I wasn't even aware of at the time. It's really fascinating thinking back and just appreciating the quality of life that I lead nowadays. And that's what I want for all of you guys. I want you to realize that maybe right now, there's this certain haze, this certain brain fog that you are experiencing and amidst. And until that clears, you don't even know what you don't know. You don't know what you could be missing. And these industrial oils, unlike sugar, for example, I don't think there's anyone alive who would debate the fact that added sugars, high fructose corn syrup, is indeed problematic for human health and incredibly ancestrally inconsistent with the way that we should be living and achieving optimal health and vitality. But industrial seed oils, guys, it's not even just that some people think that they're heart healthy, it's that in combination with the fact that if you're eating more seed oils, it's at the expense of saturated fat. So see, it's like precisely the people that promote industrial seed oils, PUFAs, that demonize saturated fat without realizing that saturated fat is just the scapegoat and is actually the savior. Like it's actually protective for human health. And what I'm gonna do right now actually is pull up on my desktop here, and I'm gonna go to, let's start with a Facebook post that I put out almost 2 years ago. It's called The Hateful Eight: canola, corn, cottonseed, soy, sunflower, safflower, grapeseed, and rice bran. So this is a video that I put out on my Facebook account, and let's just go into the comment section, because I really think that the dialogue that transpired here is really the epitome. It's certainly illustrative of one of the reasons I'm so passionate about these oils. So I'm just gonna scroll down and you're gonna see this individual, Sarah. And here's what really gets to me. Of course I know this girl, right? She went to school with me. She's really good friends, one of my sister's best friends growing up. And she comes back with this: interesting read if you wish to explore. As a graduate student in nutrition and dietetics, I find there is a stigma surrounding canola oil. In reality, it has health benefits almost parallel to olive oil. Almost parallel to olive oil, which by the way is 10% linoleic acid anyway. I mean, that's like the maximum cutoff that I would ever recommend. I recommend a 50-40-10 split of saturated, monounsaturated, and poly. Olive oil is not high enough in saturated. It's predominantly oleic acid, monounsaturated. So she comes back with this study. And this is what's so sad, because this is the hook, line, and sinker that she has effectively taken. This is the narrative that she's been given. She's been given a map, forced to memorize it, and given good grades if she does, not realizing that it could be the wrong map. And it doesn't really matter how well you optimize within that paradigm. It doesn't matter how good of a student you are in nutrition and dietetics, because ultimately, if you are being spoon-fed the wrong thing, if you're given a map that is improperly devised, then at some point you have to ask yourself, maybe I need to upgrade the map, because the last time I checked, every 34 seconds, somebody drops dead in America alone of cardiovascular disease. So it's like, tell that to the 697,000 Americans alone who have died of cardiovascular disease just in the past year. Tell them that this is the right map. Tell them that we should be shunning saturated fat and celebrating seed oils. Guys, there's nothing vaguely appropriate about this. And you can see the ongoing back and forth that her and I had. And I'd be more than happy to read this aloud for you guys, but quite frankly, I'm going to summarize by saying that this is a matter of epistemology. Like, what do you give credence to and why? It actually reminds me, it's so funny, when I was in 4th grade, I can remember being in class one afternoon, and I remember just sifting through the dictionary. I know it seems kind of nerdy, but follow me on this one. I was going through the dictionary and I looked up Santa Claus. I don't know why, I was just curious, like, what did the textbook definition of Santa Claus actually entail? And I can remember the first few words being a fictitious character. And I was just like, oh my God, like, Santa Claus isn't real, he's fictitious, because I'm looking through the dictionary. But to be honest, I really didn't want to believe that. I mean, I was as jolly as the next person in line on Christmas morning, waking up probably at 5 a.m. to my parents' dismay, just super excited to see what Santa had left for my sister and I. And what this is illustrative of is the fact that, in spite of what the dictionary said, in spite of common sense, which most of us have outsourced, and intuition, I kept believing for another good year at least, until my mom actually told me, because at some point I was in middle school and she figured I would find out by word of mouth by other kids that Santa Claus wasn't real. Because I went on believing the narrative that my parents had given me, because I gave them more credence, believe it or not, I actually did, I was young, than the dictionary itself. So when you have competing ideas, it's like, who are you giving the credence to? So Sarah gives it to academia, to these pharma-funded studies. What do I give it to? Personal experience, having been through the fire and flame of hell. And now having come back and actually healed myself without pharmaceuticals, without medicine, literally having built a better body that took years of hard work, effort, and discipline. That's what I give credence to, is my own experience and my own logic that tells me that these oils were designed to lubricate machinery and not mankind. These oils are made in factories that resemble oil refineries, and they have no place in the human diet. They contain concentrated amounts of linoleic acid that would have been impossible for us to have ever had access to. The average American today is consuming 2,800 sunflower seeds worth of linoleic acid in 4 to 5 tablespoons of these oils per day. Guys, if it doesn't pass the sniff test, then it does not pass the sniff test. And it doesn't matter what these studies say, because you know what? Studies also told us that we should be smoking cigarettes for several decades, and doctors were actively participating and advocating such. Do you guys see the problem here? Is that we're giving credence to the wrong thing. And if we don't wake up and realize that these oils bioaccumulate and are literally plaguing mankind, we're never gonna have the optimal human experience that I feel we're all deserving of. I really feel that the person watching this video, man, like, you have a light that's been dimmed and you don't even know what it's like to have full translucence, full transparency, full brightness, man, at 100%. You're operating at maybe 1% of your max capacity right now. And in this transient human experience that we have, I would want nothing more than for you to be able to experience what 100% could potentially entail. And I'm not even there myself. I'm just trying to give you guys a glimpse and insight into what that might actually be like. You have to actually take the steps to get there for yourself. So fortunately, this conversation ended with me private messaging her, wanting to connect maybe on a video call, on a phone call, and she sort of just shut down. I had shared a video that Analyze and Optimize had come out with very good overview of the history of seed oils and the corruption therein to give her a bigger picture. But she unfortunately did not take the bait. That being said, canola oil is something that she said has benefits paralleling that of olive oil. Now, let's go back to the Santa Claus analogy that I gave and thinking about how ridiculous it is if you just apply common sense that there could be this character that literally flies around the world carried by reindeer on a sleigh. Like, I mean, it's pretty preposterous, right? But it doesn't really matter because every other kid believed it. I believed it. And my parents, who I love and relied on, depended on for my own survival, were great influences and people that I looked up to and people that I do look up to, people that had great influence over me and I gave credence to. I'm gonna go to youtube.com right now, and I would encourage you guys to do the same. When you get a chance, just go to YouTube and type in canola oil, how it's made. And check out this video right here. How it's made, canola oil. Just to gain an appreciation of it.
Comfort. It all starts with Snuggle.
There's one simple hearing hack.
Might get a few ads here. We'll have to cut this part out.
Canola oil is a commonly used type of cooking oil. It's derived from the seed of the canola plant, which North American farmers
of the canola plant. It's actually a rapeseed. There is no such thing as a canola plant. That's actually a misnomer and something that was basically designed, crafted to be more digestible to the human public, you know, who wants to be eating rapeseed oil. So obviously I've seen this video before, guys. I recommend you check it out on your own. I'm gonna skip ahead just to get to the juicy part.
waxes so they can be filtered out. The waxes don't go to waste either. The factory uses them to produce vegetable shortening. In the factory's lab, technicians recreate production on a small scale to ensure performance and quality. Meanwhile, back in the factory, after washing and filtering the oil, they bleach it to lighten the color, then use a steam injection heating process to remove the canola odor. The oil is now fully refined and ready for bottling.
Whew, ready for bottling in estrogenic plastics. that are clear bottles, by the way, that let in UV light that further oxidize these oils, which are already oxidized. But did you notice they say that they make them odorless? They treat them with literally chemical deodorizers, guys. This is an industrialized process. And do you see how ridiculous this is? I would say it's as ridiculous as the notion of Santa Claus. But even though me, looking in the dictionary, realizing that it was a fictitious character, I continued believing the false narrative that was given to me by my parents. And that's what's happening to most people, is they're taking hook, line, and sinker the narrative that, for example, the American Heart Association has given us. And guys, seed oils are literally more toxic than cigarettes. I'm a very health conscious person. I don't know. I haven't, there's one person that I'm thinking of, but other than that, I haven't met anyone that parallels the interest and the actual rubber meets the road practices of being a top tier, top shelf, healthy human being. And if you put a gun to my head and you force me to smoke a cigarette per day or consume the amount of seed oils that the average American is, God, it sounds so gross, and I'm sure my lungs would hate me for this and my future partners, but God, for the overall scope of health, I would literally smoke the cigarette. Like, these seed oils are that toxic. And you have people who are literally students of nutrition and future dietitians who continue to promote these seed oils. And I've reached out to these people and I'm trying to get through to them, but it's a very difficult endeavor. And I just hope you guys realize the importance of this, can spread this message, realize that detoxifying from these oils is a matter of of time, and just no longer consuming them, emphasizing full fat dairy, beef, eggs, just the ancestral fats that our brains and bodies had grown accustomed to as an integral part of our evolution. Guys, thank you so much for checking out this video today. Drop a comment down below. How can we help propagate this message? How can we make it obvious? How can we make it so that, you know, the day that my mom sits me down, I actually remember it was at the Turnpike Mall and she breaks the news to me. I was in tears, man, just finding out that Santa Claus wasn't real. Hopefully we don't have to elicit that sort of emotional reaction, but what is the equivalent of that? What is like the equivalent of my mom sitting me down, telling me that Santa Claus is actually her? And I think my dad was the one who would eat the cookies. So Santa Claus was played by both of my parents. How do we get through to people? How do we have that conversation where we just make this obvious? We make it so that it's no longer a debate, because in my estimation, this is the most deleterious debate that currently exists, because the consequences of being on the wrong side of it are enormous. Because the truth is, guys, you have people who are ordinarily, by all objective measures, you know, for the most part, are quite healthy. But the problem is that their fat intake as a percentage, maybe it's low fat overall, right? Like they're one of these Mediterranean folks, maybe chicken, rice, other low fat foods, olive oil. They're getting a lot of monounsaturated fats, but they're not getting a lot of saturated fats. And so as a percentage of their total fat intake, they're definitely not hitting the 50-40-10 that I am recommending and saying will make you as healthy as a horse. So it's really these people that I'm interested in helping, the people who are already health conscious, the people who are actually following a map and they're not just haphazardly trekking the territory, but they just need a better map to find their freedom. Guys, that's it for today. I love you all very much. And as always, friends, until next time, find your freedom. Take care, guys.